Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel here. Today, we have, I guess you could say like a video essay on why I think Space Marine 2 is a truly masterful and like generational game and why I think it's a real masterpiece and honestly should have won Game of the Year 2024 last year. If you saw my video, it did for my awards, but obviously it was, usurped by Astrobot. Another great game. I just don't think it was necessarily as good as Space Marine 2 in a lot of ways. But yeah, so let's just jump right into it and why I think this game is absolutely masterful beyond my awesome, visuals and combat skills that you're seeing here, of course. I think just get into it right off. That's a good lead in. The combat system is fantastic. This game kind of plays in the way that like you go through the missions and the combat and everything. It kind of plays like Doom almost. It has that same type of like high flying action, kind of really in your face. Pretty good music too. Um, but it's like Doom, but if Doom had like a really good setting and story, nothing against Doom at all. It's one of my favorite video game series of all time. It's some of the best like mindless fun you can physically have in a video game. But I really like Space Marine 2 a good deal more, just because I think not only is the combat better, and it is newer to be fair, but I think the visuals are better. I think the setting is better, and I think the story is a lot better. That's kind of one of the, I guess you could say, weak points of Doom, and always has been, is its story was never incredibly interesting or like world renowned. But with a series like 40K, it's about one of the most lore rich universes you can physically get into, which is crazy when you remember that this entire series is a tabletop game. That's where it came from, like a D&D type tabletop game. That's where all this is built off. That's where all these video games have come from. That's where a lot of these, well, soon to be TV show, actually, I believe, with Henry Cavill. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's all of a tabletop game, but it is incredibly lore rich and it's incredibly interesting. The story never loses you. It's not incredibly long. It's kind of obviously there's multiplayer mode and operations that add in stuff, so the gameplay time is kind of up to you as far as how long you want to play the game, but it's not overly long. Like I mentioned in one of my recent videos with also Space Marine 2, like B-roll. But yeah, it's incredibly fun to play. I've had a blast with it. I've been playing it for a while. I kind of started playing it before I came back from YouTube to YouTube for my break. I beat the campaign on Angel of Death, which is the hardest difficulty. It was challenging, but it was a lot of fun. It took a few tries, especially on the final boss, which I won't spoil. But that on Angel of Death is just something else. But yeah, so that's the main reason. And the first reason, I guess you could say, is the combat. It feels incredibly fresh. It never gets old, even if you use the same class and setup a lot of the time. I mean, squashing these Tyranids, these Chaos Cultists, and the Chaos Space Marines and the demons, it just never gets old. The kill animations are fucking awesome, and they keep adding more in. They're a lot of fun to see. It just feels fresh. It feels fun. There's never a dull moment, especially in combat. You're constantly scanning, shooting, hacking, and everything. There's a lot of really interesting weapons and classes to choose from. I have Assault here, which mainly uses, a sword, with a pistol, and everything with a jetpack. As you can see, my favorite class. Personally, I think it's the best class in the game. But Heavy is also pretty good, all except for that, as well as Vanguard. Little Dreadnought here too. But regardless, the combat never feels old, both because of the weapon variety and the class variety that you can constantly switch between in both the multiplayer and the campaigns and operations. The combat never feels old, and you can see me clip farming here. But regardless, um, yeah, the combat is just fantastic. I think it's better than Doom, and I think it's the best 40K video game we've ever gotten by a long shot. The visuals are fantastic. Um, I guess if you play on PC and you have an older one, you might not care for that because it might push your computer a little bit. But I played on the Series X, as you can probably see there. But yeah, I think the visuals are fantastic. The world itself, obviously, you're on different planets and stuff occasionally in different regions, so it changes a lot. But the visuals all look stunning. The worlds look amazing. The world building, which obviously isn't necessarily the focus, is the combat and enemies and everything. The world building and the world, art, I guess you could say, is fucking amazing. It is truly fantastic. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So the art, the visuals, the combat is all great. Then getting on to, I guess you could say, the game modes. Like I said, this campaign and the story itself isn't overly long. If you've seen one of my recent videos about video games being too long, I use this as a great example of how to really hit a sweet spot here. It's not too long. I can't remember what the official, full campaign thing is, and I'm sure if you play on a really hard difficulty and you're not very good or something, it could get extended. I think it's like 10 to 20 hours somewhere in that ballpark. I played on Angel of Death. It was a lot of fun. All the difficulties have their merits. I think it's fun to play through all of them. Angel of Death was a real challenge, but I played with a friend and it wasn't too overwhelming at any point. It was a really good challenge without being like too much of like a chore. I guess I'd say the difficulty scaling was really good in my opinion. The game modes themselves, campaign has a sweet spot. It flows really well. You never feel like you're doing filler content. There's no roadblocks. Everything is really interesting and important to the world. It's overall a very good atmosphere and very good kind of strung along story there. I'm not going to spoil a bunch of it, even though this is an operations. So another game mode here is operations, which are kind of like the campaign, but not really. They're like co-op multiplayer campaign. So you can play with other people, and it's essentially the other side of the campaign. So when you go on campaigns, you have these Space Marine squadrons where you get sent in as like Titus and his entourage as the main campaign, but you're always in communication and working kind of in conjunction with another squad of Space Marines, and that's you in the operations. So you play the opposite half of the campaign in the operations, which is a really cool thing. I'm not sure if anyone's done that before in a video game. I'm just not remembering. But if not, I mean, more people should. It's really cool that you get to see both sides of the operation. That hence the game mode, I guess you could say, in its name. It's really interesting to see that and kind of come full circle as to what they were talking about over the radio and what all was happening. It's been a blast, and you can level all the classes. There's different weapons and mechanics. It keeps the game fresh even after you complete the main storyline. It gives you a lot more content to do, and essentially just kind of redoing the campaign. And there's a lot of replayability because you can level classes in there like you can with the multiplayer. And that brings me to the last game mode, which is kind of like a multiplayer, shooter game. Essentially, I guess a lot of hacking and slashing in this game as well as shooting, but you get the idea. It's like a PvP multiplayer game mode. That's a lot of fun. I don't dip too much into that. I tend to stick to the operations as well as the campaign, obviously. But it's a really fun extra little game mode that they tacked on there. And it's been a lot of fun to experiment with that, of course, as well. So the game, the story mode, and everything, and the actual story and of the game, I don't want to say it's short and sweet, but it's a real sweet spot. It's really well strung together. It's a masterfully told story. The enemies are unique enough that you don't get in this the uniqueness as well as the length of the campaign blend together so that you never really get bored of the fighting or the combat or of what you're doing. There's obviously boss fights. Really, at the end of every operation or campaign story, there's a kind of a big moment or boss fight that you have to encounter. All of those are wonderful. The visuals and the looks of it are fucking amazing. You've probably seen some of my shorts of them as of recently, if you're a fan of the channel as a whole. They're amazing. They're really fun. The boss fights are really well done. Particularly difficult. There's patterns to learn. They're really well put together. Um, I don't. I was thinking. I was gonna say on the level of like an Elden Ring boss, but I know that a lot of people find that blasphemous. You can't be better than Elden Ring at boss fights, but I think they were really well put together. I love the bosses. I think they were interesting. Really, I just died. Ugh. I'm not playing this as I'm recording. I'm just watching it, but that's embarrassing. Did I finish Angel of Death? Yes, I do. I can post the achievement if you don't believe me. But regardless, back to the main point. I think the boss fights were fantastic. They were really interesting bosses as well. The story is great. The visuals, even on your side, like there's a lot of cutscenes and like story explanations throughout, especially the main campaign, that are all fantastic. They're really interesting to see. It's kind of it reminded me of The Witcher with how it was almost anticipating and looking forward to a lot of the cutscenes and the story and the visuals you'd see. A lot of times you'll see like hordes of space marines kind of charging an enemy and shooting an enemy. You've probably seen some of the iconic moments of like charging the demon prince or holding kind of on like I don't want to say hill, but like a little um, tiny mound, a bunch of different space marines kind of holding the line against this like um, demon infestation and portal. There's a lot of really great and iconic moments and visuals in this game. The soundtrack is really good. I think that adds a little good ambiance to it. Um, the home base, like the station you launch from, is really cool too. There's a lot of really good kind of visuals and I don't want to say references, but just like visuals of the different you know, Warhammer 40k stuff. There's a lot of customization you can do if you're particularly in the multiplayer and the operations game mode when you select classes and stuff. There's a lot of you know, visuals and cosmetics you can unlock of chapter stuff, as well as you know, mind my Wi-Fi throughout this fight. This isn't the game. This is my piss poor Wi-Fi, but regardless, but yeah, there's a lot of customizations, both for the chapters as well as like kind of showing your experience. You get cool and cooler armor and like accessories as you advance through it. You know, to kind of show your experience like you would if you were a real Space Marine. That sucks that you know the Wi-Fi's lagging. This game is really good, so don't think it's not. It's just my Wi-Fi. It's all on me. There's a lot of this is another really good enemy. It's like a mini boss in the Hellbrute. And this is another good example of kind of the combat mechanisms of this game being really good and interesting. The visuals being amazing as well. But yeah, so overall, this game is just they knocked it out of the park. I think it's easily the best Warhammer 40k game we've ever gotten. It's a fantastic game in its own right. If they do a third, which I think they're gonna do, I really look forward to it. Obviously, this one was focused on the Tyranids and the Chaos, you know, Space Marines, as well as the Chaos Demons of Zinch. Uh, but the first one was mainly orc based, if I remember correctly. I'd really love to see maybe Necrons next time or something. I don't know, but I'd love to see a third one of this. If they do that, that'd be fantastic. But yeah, that kind of went over really everything I had to say about this game. Um, it's really fantastic. I had a fucking amazing time playing this. You know, the length, as you can see in my last video I did about my last video game related video about video games being too long. It's fantastic. It tells a great story. I was happy I paid full price for this. I didn't feel snubbed at all as far as like any of the mechanics went. It was fantastic. Yeah, again, if I was gonna give this game a review, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend, must play, must buy. I mean, if you're a fan of Doom, if you're a fan of any action video game like this or any story video game, you owe it to yourself to play this. I'd highly recommend it. So definitely go pick yourself up a copy on console or PC. So it's available in a lot of places. But yeah, that about does it. 10 out of 10 if you want a review there. But regardless, and my clip farming there, you probably saw that on my shorts. But regardless, yeah, that about does it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, as well as think of Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video and you enjoy the channel and the content I put out and I've been putting out here, definitely encourage you to like and subscribe. It definitely helps out the video and the channel a lot and is very much appreciated. I can't thank you guys enough for the support you guys have been showing since I've been back. It really means a lot, and you know I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping to just keep putting out content and you know doing stuff that you guys enjoy. So yeah, uh, that about does it. I'll see you guys in the next video and hope you all doing well in life.